Hi, good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock on April 16th. This is Katie Chuba. I'm just kind of waiting for more folks to come in, so we'll give it a minute. Hi, everybody. They're coming in. Right. So we're just kind of waiting as more folks are logging in. So we'll just give it a minute here before we begin today's webinar. So I appreciate your patience. So we're just going to kind of hang tight for just a second here as folks are joining us today. So thank you for joining us for this Howell and Hartland Area Chambers of Commerce webinar. The numbers are still climbing, so I'm just kind of waiting a minute. So we appreciate your patience and waiting while people join us. So you just get to look at my face for a second. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Chuba from the Hartland Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm joined today by my fellow colleague, Janelle Best from the Howell Chamber, as well as our speaker today, Bob Ventura from WebHorse Marketing, and he is going to talk to us today about how to jumpstart your e-commerce through social media, and which is a great topic for the uncertain times that we're all in today. So, but before he begins and we turn it over to Bob, I'm going to turn it over to Janelle to say hello to everybody. Janelle?
Hi, thanks, Katie. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. You're all taking a proactive step in the right direction, and we're grateful to have Bob to help us do that. And I just want to thank you to Katie for partnering on this. We always love collaborating with our fellow chambers in Livingston County. And looking forward to Bob's presentation. I do want to invite everybody. We have a virtual networking at noon next week. So that'll be facilitated by our board chair, Ashley Prue. So come and join us at that next week also. We hope you enjoy, and thanks again, Katie and Bob, for working with us on this today.
Thank you so much, Janelle. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's always, we've had some good experiences collaborating. They're working well, and however we can help our fellow businesses and strive for that better economy. So today, when Bob is presenting, if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A, and we can make this a two-way street with your questions and Bob. And I'll try to facilitate those for you today, both Janelle and I will. And then, yeah, so we appreciate it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Ventura with WebHorse Marketing. Thank you so much, Bob, for joining us today.
Thank you, Katie and Janelle. Really appreciate you guys having us out, and thank you everyone who is joining us right now. I know right now we're going through some crazy times, and so yeah, I'm not sure what everybody's background is, what type of businesses you guys run, and all of that. I'm not sure if if the majority of people in here are essential, or if you guys are completely shut down. Katie, can anybody send in a chat right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So
yeah.
What I want to do is, if anybody has any questions, you can send them in the chat. We'll try to get to them, throughout the presentation, and we'll try to stay on topic as well. At the end, we're going to have a section of this presentation where we can go through and answer any questions that you have. But what I want to do is, if you guys can kind of proactively just type in the chat. I'm gonna ask a couple questions. I just kind of want to get an idea of everybody's situation right now, and kind of what everybody's going through. So right now, are you guys an essential business? Are you closed down? Are you an essential business that or are you a non-essential business but you're still able to operate kind of remotely? Just kind of curious to see what everybody is going through right now.
So, yeah, when you chat, make sure it's to all panelists so everyone can see. That would be great.
So seeing some things come in here. So it looks like, okay. So it looks like everybody that I see so far is either essential or they're non-essential, but they're still able to work. So Right now, this is as everybody knows, a very interesting time. So we have clients in a lot of different industries. So in essential industries, non-essential industries, and kind of, everywhere in between. And it's really interesting to see how this COVID thing is really affecting everybody. We have some clients that are essential that are actually doing very, very well right now. They're staying super busy. We have other clients that are essential that are pretty much shut down. They've had to lay almost everybody off. And then we also have some non-essential clients that are still kind of hanging in there. So, so good. Okay. So just kind of reading through here. Yeah. So very, very interesting. So this is a time we do kind of, a little bit of everything when it comes to marketing, and I'll go over my background here in just a second, but in this time right now, what we do Google ads, all that kind of stuff. And what we've noticed is that we've kind of been pulling back on our advertising in a lot of different areas and putting more into social media. Because right now, what we're finding is there's just not as many people that are actively searching, right? So we look at analytics, and we're looking at, what's going on Facebook, what's going on all the different social channels, what's happening on Google. And we're still getting some traction on other medias, but social media right now it works. It's working better than anything that we can really do right now. So that's kind of why Katie and I decided that we should, get this presentation made and get it out as quick as we can, because right now is kind of, striking when the iron's hot. We're a little bit behind, where we could, depending on when everything goes, when the governor lets us, come back to work and all that. But this is still a time right now that if you're not doing anything on social media, I think that after this presentation, there's some tips and some things that you guys can take that you can start doing some stuff immediately that will definitely help your business. It really depends on the type of industry, and we'll go into all this here in our presentation, but it really depends on the type of industry that you're in and, what it is that you're promoting. We'll go through all this, but some businesses right now, like right after this presentation, you'll want to go, if you're not already doing it, and get plugged in and start doing it. There are other industries that it doesn't matter what you try to do. People, they're only going to buy certain things right now. So with all that being said, we'll kind of jump in here. So just a quick recap here of me. My name is Bob Ventura. I own WebHorse Marketing, located here in Howell, and I have a little bit over 10 years experience in all aspects of digital marketing. I've kind of done a little bit of everything, and so that is my background. So as far as what we're going to be going over today, so this is the agenda for today. So the first thing we're going to go over are the top 4 channels that we consider to be the best for small businesses. We're going to go over some tips that we believe are going to give you the most success, how we measure success here. We're also going to go over some common mistakes that many businesses make and why they don't succeed. And then finally, we're going to go over 7 pro tips that we put together for immediate success for you guys. And at the very end, we're going to go over questions, just depending on how many questions that we get at the end. And, if we're going to be answering questions here throughout the presentation. I have about 30 to 45 minutes that I'll have, but we can go as long as everybody needs to answer as many questions as we would like. Well, I know Katie and Janelle, I'm sure they have, other things going along with you guys. So we'll try to keep it right around an hour. And if we can't get all the questions in here today, what we'll do is Katie will send out an email. You guys can ask any questions that you would like. And then I'll answer to the best of my ability, and we'll send an email out, and we'll provide that to everybody. And I'll also provide this presentation if anybody wants it. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So a few questions for you guys, and if you don't mind typing it into the chat, it'll definitely help me get a better idea kind of who the audience is and who's listening right now. So the first question is, do you guys use social media personally? And if so, what are your favorite channels? And that's kind of the first thing I just want to know. Me personally, I don't really use social media at all, even though this is what I do for a career. I just don't really have the time. So I do use Instagram every now and again, but that's really the majority of what I use. And so You guys can go ahead and send in your answers there. And then the next question is, have you used social media for your business? And if so, was the experience positive or negative? And so when I say use social media, what I mean is more than, have you done more than just like set up your page and kind of, hope that people would come to it? Have you actually, actively tried to build your audience? Have you run any Facebook ads or any kind of ads for that matter? And then if you have, was your experience positive or negative? If you guys can just send your answers in on the chat, that would be great. And then the final thing that I'm wondering here is what you're looking to get from this webinar. Why did you sign up? What are you looking to get? And hey, Katie, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I lost the screen where I have everybody's typing in their answers.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if you can pull it up. I just kind of want to get an idea before I jump in.
Yeah, no problem. So I can review these for you. So a lot of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Hi, Bob. It's Sue from Fountain of Youth. Just thought I'd
Hi,
throw
Sue.
that
How
in
you
there.
doing?
Facebook and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay.
I use it personally and professionally. Facebook, LinkedIn, personally. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, professionally. Facebook, LinkedIn, occasionally Snapchat, Facebook and Twitter. We have used Facebook very positively in our business. I have done ads on Facebook and had positive experience. We use all social media with business and boost ads. We use Facebook and have gotten great response from Facebook. Used for business, we post daily, have over 1,500 followers, positive, and a great way for us to engage with folks we serve.
Cool.
Finding more effective ways to use social media as a marketing tool. We use this regularly, use social media, we have great success.
Cool. Okay. So it sounds like overall, this is nothing new to the majority of people listening in. So that's good. That's good. We, talking to new clients, we get a wide range of, and as far as a mix of what people have done, their experience and all that. We've got a lot of positive, people that have had positive experience that they've, kind of tested the waters. And so they're ready to, to kind of, jump in and learn more. We've also had a lot of negative feedback actually just in the past of people who have tried things that just haven't worked. They've spent a lot of time and didn't get, a lot of time and money and just haven't really, they never really got any kind of return from it. So we're going to go over all that, and we're going to go over, some of the main reasons and some of the, some of the things that we've learned through our experience on what works and what doesn't work. So we'll jump right in here. So this right here is the top 4 channels that we use as a business. And we've done really pretty much everything that you can think of. And we've put a decent amount of both money and time into testing. And the good thing about, the results that we've had is we have multiple different industries that we test this for. And so when we, if you kind of, use a baseline of, these are the ads that we know work on, a few different types of media, and then you kind of use those on, multiple different channels to test things out. We've actually had a lot of experience and a lot of failure learning what works and what doesn't work. And so these 4 right here, again, they're not the only channels that will work, but in our experience, these are the ones that work the best. And these are probably the 4 that, are most familiar to most of you. So the first one, Facebook. Everybody knows about Facebook. A few quick facts. There are 2.4 billion, 2.45 billion active monthly users. So largest channel out there. It's really primarily primarily used by adults. There are still, obviously a lot of kids and a lot of younger people who use it, but it's really an adult social media platform. And so that's, let's face it, that's the audience that the majority of us are trying to target. And so it makes it one of the best channels for really any kind of business, especially small business. Okay. One thing, the very last quick fact here is that your organic posts. So any post that you're doing where you're not, where you're not actually putting a paid advertising budget towards it, only 6.4% of followers actually see those posts. So that's an important number to remember, and we're going to go over a little bit more detail on that here in a little bit, but definitely remember that because it's very important. So what social media, or what Facebook rather, is intended for is it was really initially intended for networking and connecting with friends. Now, as you I'm sure you're aware that every one of these social media channels, they weren't created just for our use. They were created to start to basically get a bunch of people into the channel and then start running advertising to it, and that's how they make all their money, right? So the advertisers are what keep these things going. And so social media, or Facebook, initially intended for really for networking with friends and family, but it's really evolved into a multifaceted tool. There's Facebook Marketplace. You can share videos, photos. You can join and create groups. You can create events. There's a lot of different things that you can do on Facebook, and so that's why that's one of the reasons that we use it. Is we promote events. We promote groups. We do a lot of different things on Facebook, and I would say probably 90% of our success comes from that channel alone. Okay, so our recommendation, really, Facebook. If there was no other channel that you were going to use, Facebook is definitely the one to go to. It depends on the industry and the type of business, but overall, Facebook is, in my opinion, the number one channel to go to. Instagram is another great channel. It's owned by Facebook, and there's significantly less people that use Instagram, but Instagram can be an amazing tool. Really, the difference between Instagram and Facebook, if you don't use both of them, Instagram is really a tool for high quality photos and videos. So if you don't have somebody within your team that's regularly taking really high quality and engaging photos and videos, I would not recommend using Instagram. If you're just sharing articles or using generic like stock kind of photos, don't use Instagram. Instagram is definitely not the place for that. Nobody's going to follow you, and people want really engaging things. So what we've found works the best for Instagram are any kind of businesses that are selling products nationally. There's not as large of a following or people that actively use it. So finding people in your local market is definitely a lot more difficult than Facebook, right? So any business that's selling products anywhere nationally, it can be a great tool, and it's also a great branding tool, right? So if you're just looking, I look at it more of a national kind of branding tool, so businesses that are trying to brand themselves nationally and have a large budget, Instagram can be a great tool to use. And if you sell products like Sue from the Fountain of Youth, they sell different products as far as different beauty things and different cosmetic products like that. Though that's a great channel for that. If you do any kind of niche related things, so camping things, outdoor activities, anything that you have a strong following of people who are very interested in what you have to offer, Instagram's a great tool. So our recommendation is use Instagram if you have high quality photos that you're and somebody that can constantly take these and update them, and if you sell anything globally, or even just across the US. So moving into LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great tool for business networking. So just a quick recap, 330 million active members, 2 new users join LinkedIn every day, or I'm sorry, every day, every 2 seconds. So it's growing pretty fast, and it's a great tool. It's really you want to use LinkedIn for recruiting. Okay, so whether if you're a business, and everybody here of course is a business owner, I would assume, then this is the best tool for running paid ads to try to find people, to recruit people. You can also use it to post and to brand your business, and you can even run paid ads as well. But we use it pretty much primarily for for recruiting. We syndicate all of our posts. So we have posts that go to Instagram. Sorry, my phone is blowing up here. Gotta get this thing out of here. So, so we syndicate posts to Facebook, really to all these channels, but we really put all of our paid advertising budget into recruiting specifically. We don't ever run paid ads for anything else. We've tried it in the past with really no success. So if you're looking to recruit, LinkedIn is the place to go. That's pretty much the only thing that I would use it for. I wouldn't really try to use it to get new business. It can work, but it's just not the best place to go. Twitter, finally, is another good tool. The reason that we have it all the way at the end is because it's really more of a news channel. It is a great way to brand, so you can definitely use it for that. But if you're a local business and you're a local brick and mortar, I really wouldn't waste my time at all. You can, like I was saying, you can syndicate posts to Twitter, but I wouldn't focus on it. It's just, we have never, for any local business that we do marketing for, and we have, clients everywhere from, dentists to HVAC to plumbers to, to clients that sell beauty products. It's just not the best channel. It can be a very good channel if you sell things nationally and you have a national brand that you're trying to stay in front of people on. But for the majority of people, I would imagine, that are watching this presentation, I wouldn't really muddy the waters and focus on LinkedIn, or I'm sorry, focus on Twitter. I would really focus on the first three. And when you're looking at these channels, one thing that I always stress, and I can't stress this enough, is that each channel requires equal amount of work if you want to be successful at it. So if you're trying to be successful at any of these, spreading yourself too thin is not going to help you out. It's only going to hurt you, and it's just going to dilute what you're trying to do. So the best way to be successful is to pick one of these and focus all of your attention on the one.
Hey, Bob.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're not there. Are you trying to screen share or not? We have some messages coming in. Your screen's not shared right now.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
That's my bad. So I thought that you knew it wasn't sharing, and I didn't know you were ready not to share. So
no, I did not. Thank you for.
Oh, sorry. So go ahead and share your slides. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll share the presentation after. So.
Cool. This slide right here is really the.
Yeah, we still don't. I don't see it. So Janelle, do you see his screen?
I don't see your screen either, Bob. I'm wondering, Katie, can you take over as host controls and see if you can do it from your end, maybe? It was.
All right, let's try that. All right, Bob, can you screen share now?
Okay, so let's try this again here.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was looking at it on my screen here. I didn't know that you guys.
Sorry.
Okay, so.
You see it now?
Yep, I see his.
So do you
there,
guys see it now?
perfect. Yes.
Okay, so that was the first slide. There's the second. There's the agenda. There's the questions, and so this is where we were just at. So
okay, perfect.
I'll stay here just for a quick second, just so you guys can kind of look through this. This is everything that I just explained. And as Katie was saying, I'll send you guys this presentation after, so no need to take detailed notes or anything. I can give you all this. And this right here is really just a broad overview. It's not anything too in depth. So yeah, so those are the 4 channels that we have had experience with, a lot of experience with, and those are the 4 that we would recommend using. So now jumping into how to be successful on social media. So once you've determined which channel that you want to use, you always, whether you're posting or running paid ads or boosting, whatever you're doing, you always want to use photos that include people. Okay, right? People love seeing people. They like seeing children. They like seeing smiling faces. So those are, we've done a ton of testing with this. And so take my word for it. Don't waste your time not doing this. Definitely include photos of people. They almost every time they they win, right? So we do a lot of testing. We'll test everything from, you know, photos of products that we're doing to you name it. And almost every time, not always, but almost every time, photo or anything that has people in it almost always wins. So bright colors are another thing. People, as you know, you're flying through Facebook or Instagram, and, you know, most people are sitting there doing this all day. And if we don't have something that's going to get people to stop, everything else is almost a waste, right? So you can build amazing landing pages, you can have awesome offers, you can do all these things, but if you don't get people to stop, it's everything else is a waste. So bright colors, things that contrast a lot, are going to work great. So this right here is an example of just a few different things that, you know, that we've done in the past. So the first one all the way over to the left, that's a post. Actually, those are both posts, and then the one all the way to the right is an example of an ad. And so the you know, that ad right there, that's just to kind of show you guys a little, you know, just a variation of, you know, of a few different ideas. But the first two that you see right there, those work very well. The one in the middle has worked very well because it's, when you're scrolling through Facebook, it's like you can't help but stop and look at it. And so whether you're running that kind of an offer or really any, you can almost use that to promote almost anything. But it's got a photo of a kid. It's you know, it's funny. It's, you know, it's lighthearted. It has good colors that contrast a lot. And so things like that are going to be what you know, really focus on things that contrast a lot, things that are bright, have people, and you'll do very well. Okay, the next thing is if you're posting, right? So I'm not sure if you remember here just a little bit ago what the number that I said about how many people on Facebook actually see business posts. It's just over 6% of your followers that actually see your posts. So if you have 1,000 people that like your page, on average, only 6 people are going to see every one of your posts. Now, that's not always true. If you have posts that are very engaging, then you know, people are sharing them, they're commenting, liking, doing all that, then they're naturally going to be seen by more people. But that, you know, that fact is very, very important. I can't tell you how many clients that we've had that, you know, they do daily posts, they spend hours and hours and hours posting, but nobody sees it, right? So if you don't have a large enough audience, you're wasting your time before you get started. Build your audience. We're going to go over some tips in a little bit on how to do that, but make sure that you don't waste your time posting if you don't have a large enough audience, right? We always, you know, the first number that we have is if somebody's under 1,000, we have to get to 1,000. That's like the threshold. You know, we'll start posting and doing things before that, but 1,000 is the first number, then 2,500, then 5, you know, and the more people obviously that you have, the better. Okay. The heart of social media is paid advertising. So as I was mentioning before, all of the creators, Mark Zuckerberg, all these, you know, brilliant minds that created these social media channels that we all use, they didn't do it for us, right? They didn't do it so we could connect with our friends. They did it so they could build a platform where almost everyone in the world will go to and constantly use it, and then they can have advertisers that will pay them to run ads to, you know, to all their users. So advertising is the heart of all of this, right? So the reason that only 6% of the people that follow your page see your posts is for a good reason, right? Zuckerberg and their creators, they built that for a very good reason, right? So getting into advertising, if you guys have ever, if you've ever run your own ads, the most common thing, if you've never, you know, actually set up the ads manager and run that, is boosting, right? So if we go back to this right here, all the way to the left, that's an example right there. You can see the button down below the free service call that says boost post, right? So if you ever done a boost, that's more than likely how you, you know, how you did it. And so essentially what boosting is it is a paid ad, but it's basically a simplified version of Ads Manager. So you can go in, you can set, you know, minimal targeting, you can set, you know, who the different age group, different demographics and things like that as far as who you want to see the ad. And there are some targeting that you can do. So it's a great option for anybody who doesn't have the time to learn Ads Manager. Ads Manager is really just the full version of boosting. And there are a lot more features. There's definitely a learning curve. It's not something that will take you, a year to pick up, but there is a learning curve to get into running Ads Manager. Both advertising and boosting posts can work, right? We pretty much primarily stick with the Ads Manager. We do boost events and different things like that, but so they can both work. However, one thing that I can't stress enough is that if you don't have the right targeting, it's not going to work, right? So that's one of the biggest mistakes that we've seen from different clients in the past, and different, just really anybody that we've talked to that's tried it without success, is they've boosted posts, but they didn't have their targeting set right. And so what happened was they spent a lot of money showing the ad to people who just they weren't interested in it. They had the wrong targeting, right? We're going to go over here shortly on the best practices for targeting and kind of, how to do that. But just remember, if you are going to boost posts, you want to make sure that you have the right targeting set up, right? So those are the first three things. The second, or the fourth thing here, is make sure that you have a good offer. If you don't have a compelling offer, you're going to kind of shoot yourself in the foot before you get started. You have to have a reason that people are going to stop, and that they're going to want to click on and follow whatever the call to action is that you have. So we start by getting them to stop with a bright picture. And then the second thing is we have to know, or we have to have a good offer that's going to be compelling, that's going to make somebody want to click. So anything, any kind of free inspection, those kind of things work very well. Things that are limited time, right? So if it's something something that you're only running for, a flash sale that ends today or ends at the end of the week, all of those things work very, very well, but we have to have a really, really good offer. Otherwise, you're just kind of wasting your time, and you're going to spend a lot of money running ads, and they're just not going to convert. So if you don't have good offers, rethink that and see what you can come up with. Okay. The next thing is, it kind of goes along with what we were talking about here with targeting, but you have to know your audience. And so the last two things kind of go hand in hand, but I can't stress it enough. Split test, split test, split test. And if you're not familiar with what that term is, all it really is just basically creating multiple versions of your ads, landing pages, different things like that, to test as many different things as you can, and to make sure that what you're doing actually works. I can't tell you how many times I've had an idea for something that I thought was definitely going to be the winner, and as it turns out, we try multiple different things, from different images to different ad copy to different colors to different landing pages, and more often than not, we're actually pretty shocked at what ends up working and what doesn't work. So without doing adequate testing, you're never going to really know how successful it could be. So we test everything from different ad copy to different images, different videos, different audiences as well, right? So what we'll do is if you can kind of picture a funnel, and at the very top of it is kind of the start, right? And so that'll be where all of our ads, all of our landing pages, all of our ad copy will kind of get thrown in, right? And as each day goes on, we go in and we look, and we start selecting winners, and we start pulling out things that aren't performing, right? And as the days go on, we like to do it over the course of about a week. Sometimes it can take a few weeks to really, dial things down, but we like to, kind of do it over a week. And then at the end of that week, we'll come up with either a winner or a series of winners. So, maybe we started with 15 and we ended up with between 1 to 5. Typically it's more like 2 to 3 that we found work the best. And then we run those 2 to 3, whether it's, the version 1 of the ad copy, whatever it is, we'll run those for the rest of the month, right? And so what we do there is we're testing, we're figuring out what works. And then once we know what the lowest cost per lead and the highest converting ad series that we've run, we'll run that, and we will, and that's what we'll run for the rest of the month. Okay. So now getting into measuring success. So we kind of went over, the best practices for obviously there's a lot, there's a lot more to it. We're just kind of touching on the basics right now, but assuming that oops, sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. We just had one question come in,
Yeah.
and it was on the testing.
Yeah.
April had asked, how do you test, and is it paid testing?
No, so it's not paid testing. Well, let me back up. Technically, it is paid testing because we are paying to run the ads. So, there is part of the budget that's going to go into the test. But what's not like I'm not sure exactly what you meant by the question, but it's not like, we're not paying, you know, anything outside of just Facebook to run the ads. And so when we're testing and type into the chat if I'm not answering you correctly, but as far as I understand, when we're testing, what we're doing is, let me see if the next thing. So down at the bottom of this right here, you'll see a screenshot of, that's Ads Manager right there. And so you'll see a few different metrics in there. And so we're going to go over this here in just a second, but those metrics down there are what we use to test, right? So right here, you only see one campaign, but what we'll do is we'll run, like I was saying, up to 15. We've even, done even more than that, but, typically 10 to 15 different campaigns. And then at the end of, a couple days, at the end of the week, we'll look at all of those numbers that you see down there, and really whatever ends up being the best is, kind of what we narrow down. So for instance, if you look at the very first column where it shows 12 results, that's how many people filled out the form that you see above there, right? And so if we're running if we're running one, I guess one campaign, if you will, but multiple different ad sets down below, we'll look at the campaign. If the campaign is, running this generator right here, it's very simple, right? So once we've put all of the different tests in place, all we do is we look down here at the numbers and we see, what's our click-through rate? How many people are filling the forms out? What's our cost per lead? All of that. And that's how we kind of start narrowing it down until we get to the winner, right? Did that answer your question?
I think so. Yes. She said yes. And then are these on business pages or personal pages?
These are all on business pages.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. So we kind of just skipped ahead a little bit, but these are the primary metrics that we use when we're doing any kind of campaign. So we break down everything that we're doing into basically two categories. So either we're in terms of the goals that we're looking to meet. So the first category is leads, right? And this is the most common. We do marketing for a lot of businesses that branding is a huge part to any business, but they're trying to get their phone to ring, or they're trying to get form fills to come in. Phone calls, as every business owner knows, those are, as that's kind of the low hanging fruit. That's the first step. That's what we're going for. But as we shift into more of a digital era where people are, let's face it, people are ordering pizzas. They're doing almost everything online. I'm still kind of old school. I like picking up the phone and calling people, but I'm in the minority, not even just right now, but as in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, we're going to see, right now, the majority of leads that we get are phone calls, but we're going to see it start, phone calls are always going to come in, but we're going to start seeing it to where, people are filling out forms online. They're booking appointments online. They're communicating through text. That's just the way that the world's going right now. And so phone calls are important, but on social media, one of the primary forms of a lead is going to be through a form fill, right? So we send somebody to a landing page, they fill out a form, it comes through to your email, and then you follow up with the customer, right? So that's what we're primarily going for when we're looking for leads. And so the metrics that we're looking at the total number of leads that came in. We're looking at the cost per click. Cost per click is less important than anything else, but it's still something we look at. The cost per conversion is probably the number one or number two metric that you should be looking at, right? So the cost per conversion is simply how much money does it cost every time somebody completes my goal. So whether that's a phone call or a form fill, whatever it is, that's the cost per conversion. And then the click-through rate is a very, very important metric. What that tells us internally is, are the ads that we're promoting, are they effective, right? Are we are people clicking on the ad, or are we showing the ad to the wrong group? So essentially what click-through rate is going to tell us is the ad that we're showing being shown to the right people, right? So if we have a low click-through rate, that tells us that there are a lot of people that are viewing the ad but not clicking on it. So click-through rate is simply the number of views divided by the number of people who have actually clicked, right? So a lower click-through rate means that there's a lot of people seeing the ad, but there's not a lot of people following through with our goal. If you have a really high click-through rate, that means that you have great targeting, you have great imagery, everything that you're doing is working, right? So if you're running these campaigns and you notice that you're just not getting many leads that are coming in, the first thing to look at is your click-through rate. Of course, you want to make sure that you're spending money and you want to see that the ads are being shown and that there's, people are viewing it, but the click-through rate's going to be huge. If you have 50,000 impressions, but nobody's clicked on your ad yet, you got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, what do you have? What's the problem? Is the targeting wrong? Is the offer wrong? Is are people just not stopping to click on the ad? What's going on, right? So those are the primary metrics when it comes to any type of lead generation Facebook ad. So the next type of Facebook ad that we run are more of like a branding, or really anything that we're just trying to get as many people to view something as possible, right? Our goal isn't necessarily to get people to fill a form out. Our goal is just to get as many eyes on something as we can. And so typically what we'll do for these campaigns are really branding campaigns, right? So if you're looking to brand your business, you're not trying to put out a specific offer, you're not trying to get people to sign up for anything, but you just want as many eyes on your business as possible, that's going to be the second type of campaign that we run, and that you can run. And the two things that you want to look at are really just impressions and cost per impression. So impressions, if you don't know, that's just a view, right? Anytime that somebody has scrolled through Facebook and their eyes have seen the ad, that's an impression. And so cost per impression is just how much it costs for every person that sees the ad. Facebook divides it out. Their metric is cost per 1,000 impressions. It's called CPM. And so it's essentially the same thing, but they're going to give you a number as far as how much it costs per 1,000 people that saw the ad. Okay, so those are going to be the most important metrics. And so right here is an example of, just kind of the whole process of what we would do, right? So this is an example of one ad with one version of ad copy and one landing page, okay? And then down below are the results. I don't actually believe these are the results from this specific ad group right here, but they are in this, in this category. So this is just to give you an example of kind of what we look at. So the ad, the landing page, and then when somebody fills out that form right there, that's considered a lead, and that's gonna show up as a result right down there, right? We have, if you're unfamiliar with the Facebook pixel, you have to have the Facebook pixel installed on the landing page in order for those results to show up, and in order for for everything for everything to calculate, so you really know what's going on. But this is kind of what we're looking at right here. So as I had mentioned, this right here, we're trying to get people to fill out a lead form. And so the main things that we're looking at are the number of leads, which shows up right there. So this is just one version, and you can see that we had 12 people that filled out this form right here that are interested in a whole home generator, okay? Of those, so there were 2,344 people who the ad reached or who saw the ad, okay? So you can see, as we're gonna get into click-through right here in just a second, but basically what this is saying is that over 2,000 people saw it, and of those 2,000 people, 12 people actually went in and filled the form out, okay? Our cost per result, that's gonna be that's the same thing as the cost per lead or the cost per conversion, okay? So this is basically saying that it costs $3.80 every time somebody filled that form out and a lead came through to this client in specific, okay? The next thing over there is just how much.
Excuse me, Bob.
Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we just had a question come in from Cheryl. She said, what do you mean Facebook pixel needs to be on? Can you be a little bit more specific?
Yeah. So I kind of did jump in, and so the Facebook pixel, what that is it's a tracking code that goes on every page that we want tracked. So what we typically do is we build specific landing pages that have specific URLs that the only traffic that gets to that landing page is from a Facebook ad, right? That's the easiest way to differentiate kind of where traffic is coming through. And so what we're doing is we're taking the pixel code that Facebook gives us, and you get it through Ads Manager. You put it on it's called the header of the page, or the body of the page. If you have a developer or anybody, on your team that knows about adding tracking codes to a website, they'll know exactly what to do. But you take the code that's generated within Facebook, it's in the back end of Ads Manager, you copy the code, you paste it over onto the landing page, and then what it does is it tracks all of this information that we're seeing down here. You don't need the pixel necessarily to see, you're gonna see this stuff right here. The results, depending on your goal, can be skewed, but you don't need the pixel to view the amount that you've spent, or the cost per click, or the click-through rate, because you just don't need it to track all that. You do need the pixel if you want more detailed information as far as, how long did people stay on the page, where did they go, typically in the landing pages that we create, we don't put links to anywhere else. So there's not really any, there's no other flow as far as where they can go. There's not a menu where they can click to go to the home page or an about us. It's one landing page with one goal. But if you were sending somebody to a website or anything like that, with the pixel, you can track the flow of what they do. So you can see, okay, they clicked on the ad, they stayed on the page for 30 seconds, they did this, and then they either completed the goal or they didn't. It gives you a lot of really valuable insight as far as user behavior and what people are doing. It's not absolutely vital to get, a lot of the metrics that we're seeing down here. However, if you really want to know in detail what's going on, Pixel is going to be very important for you. Hopefully that answered what your question was. And at the end of this, and you can also email me separate or call me. I'm going to have my contact information at the end. But you can reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to walk you through how to add that. Okay. So getting back into measuring everything. So we have the number of leads all the way over there onto the left under results. We have the reach, which is just how many people saw the ad, this particular ad in this particular set. Going further to the right, the cost per result is the same thing as the cost per conversion, so $3.80. And then as we get over a little bit further, we're not in this particular ad, we're not primarily concerned with the cost per conversion or the CPM, which is, I'm pointing at my screen like you guys can see it, but you can't. But where it shows $16.26, that's going to be what you're going to look at if you're doing a branding or anything that you're not looking for leads. Okay, so that's the cost per impression. And then as we go over one more in the link clicks, that's the total number of people who have clicked on our ad. So of the 2,344, 44 of the people who viewed the ad or who it reached clicked on it. Of the 44, 12 people went through and followed through with our goal. Okay, the click-through rate all the way at the very, very end, the CTR all, that's the click-through rate for this particular ad set within the campaign. So that right there is a very good number. If you can get anywhere above 1%, your 1% is considered well above any industry average, right? So getting above 1% is, you got to kind of know what you're doing to get there. You may have run something and you may have had a 3 or 4, a 4% just running, just your first time doing it. That can happen. But as you start running more and more versions of ad copy, it's not easy to get over a 1%. But with the proper testing, you can get there every time with every campaign if you're testing enough things, right? So we'll, when we're doing all of our testing, we might see some ads that have like a 0.25% click-through rate or 0% click-through rate. And so that tells us, toggle that one off. That's not working. And so let's move on to something that is. So click-through rate is very, very, very important in terms of ad performance. Okay. So that's how we measure everything that we are doing. So now we'll get into why many businesses don't succeed. And I'm going to kind of fly through this here and get into the next thing so we can get into some questions. So really, we kind of already went through all this, but just to recap, right? If your audience isn't big enough for posting, it's just not going to work. Build your audience up before you put all your energy into creating posts. Make sure that you're targeting the right people. Make sure that you're testing. Make sure that your offers are good. Make sure that you have good imagery, good ad copy, strong landing pages. The one thing I didn't stress about that, or that I didn't touch on that I really want to stress on is call to actions. You have to have a good call to action. A call to action is simply click here, do this, fill out this form, right? You have to have very clear and very cohesive call to actions where everything flows from the ad copy to the landing page to the goal that you're trying to get somebody to complete. And you want them to be somewhat non-committal if at all possible, right? We're trying to get as many people as we can to fill out a form so we can reach back out to them. So the less committal that we can make things, the better. And what I mean by that is if it's a free, no obligation consultation, something that makes somebody feel like you're not going to be calling them and bombarding them and nonstop, just badgering them to do something. Those are going to be the ads that work the best, right? So we want to create an atmosphere and a feeling of comfort, and we want to create call to actions that are cohesive and that make people comfortable completing our goal, right? And then the final thing is, if you're too busy to manage everything, and this is one of the tips that we have here coming up, but make sure that you either find the right people on your team, find other businesses or different market, whatever you have the resources to do. Just make sure that you don't spread yourself too thin, and that you don't kind of hang your hat and say that it didn't work if you didn't give it if you don't give it the adequate amount of time. Because if you don't do all those things, and you can spend a ton of time doing it, but if you don't, if you're kind of scattered, or if you don't have the right people doing the right things, it's just not going to work, right? So getting into the 7 pro tips that we have, and this is the last slide, and then we're going to go into questions here. So I'll kind of run through this. I know we're with 12:52. I know we're kind of a little bit behind schedule, so I'm gonna shoot through this here. So the first thing, if you're looking for an amazing tool to create images and graphics very, very easily, Adobe Spark. That is gonna save you from thousands and thousands of hours of wasted time trying to learn how to use Photoshop or Illustrator or any of these programs that really require a professional, right? If you've done things on Photoshop, maybe you've tested the waters a little bit, or maybe you haven't. I would strongly recommend check out Adobe Spark. It's made for people who don't have an advert or a graphic design background. They have a lot of templates to choose from. I think it's like $9.99 a month or something like that. It's $10 a month. So it's a very, very low price to pay, and it's very, very easy to use. So highly, highly, highly can't stress it enough. If you don't have anybody on your team or anybody to outsource your graphic stuff to, check out Adobe Spark. Okay. The next thing, build your audience, right? So what we like to do is we do a lot of giveaways, right? So if you have different products or even services that you offer, right? Let's say you're a massage parlor and you can run a paid advertising program to everybody in your area, offering a free 1-hour, massage for anybody who likes the page. Or if you sell any kind of a product, we've even done, different gift cards and different things like that for liking the page. So there's a lot of different options that you can take as far as doing that. Just make sure that if you do it, that you follow through, and that you understand how to draw a winner, and and that you stay on it. Make sure that you don't kind of put it on the back burner and let it go without selecting a winner. That's very important. Make sure you stay up on that. The next thing is manage your comments, right? So I can't stress this enough, but if you start getting really active with social media and you start running ads and you're doing posts that are very engaging, you're going to get people that comment. You're going to get people that leave questions, that have, that leave reviews. There's going to be a lot more interaction. And if you can't check this daily, find somebody who can, or really think far into, is getting into social media right now the right move for our business? Because if you're successful on social media and you're doing the right things, you will get comments, you will get questions, you will get reviews. And if you leave people hanging, people don't necessarily understand small business. If they're not a small business owner, they don't realize that you're wearing 100 different hats and you're trying to juggle everything and make it all work. And so if you don't get back to them, they're going to think that you just that your business isn't managed properly, or that you don't care. There's a lot of things we've seen people in the past, before we started managing this for all of our clients, that people would get very upset. We've even had customers have had our clients' customers go on to Google and go to different places and leave negative reviews simply because they didn't get back to them on Facebook. So we look at this stuff every single day. We look at it multiple times a day. You want to make sure that you are staying on top of that, or that you have somebody that you can delegate it to. The fourth thing is get automated. So we use a tool called Social Pilot. You're probably familiar with Hootsuite. It's a lot more common of a tool. We like Social Pilot a lot more. It's actually a cheaper option, and in my opinion, it just works better. We love it. It's a great tool, and what it does is it allows us to schedule all of our posts and to create content calendars, and to really to stay ahead of the curve. So we're at least 1 week ahead of schedule in terms of posting and planning, but we really like to be, if we can, 2 weeks, even a month out. So we build our content calendars for a month out, and then we schedule our posts, like I said, for at least a week out. In some cases, if we're really on top of things, we can get things scheduled out as far as a month. Social Pilot's a great tool. It allows you to syndicate posts to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of these different tools. So great, or all these different social media channels. So great tool to have in your pocket. So another thing, like I mentioned before, create strong call to actions. This kind of ties in everything I was talking about. We want to have good ads, good ad copy, strong landing pages, and then good call to actions. Okay, got to give a reason for the customer to want to fill the form out, or to want to complete your goal. 6 is create a follow-up process. So this is one of the most underlooked things or one of the most underlooked aspects in social media. We're actually working right now on developing a software that will help us and all of our clients manage this better. But what happens is people fill out forms on Facebook. A lot of times, let's face it, they're at work, they're doing whatever they're doing, and they're scrolling through Facebook. They see something they're interested in, and so they fill a form out, right? They're not necessarily, in a lot of cases, they're not necessarily able to answer a phone call right now. And so if you try to call, we always recommend call the lead right away. But if they don't pick up, which is very common because they're at a place where they can't answer the phone, make sure that you have a follow-up procedure in place. So we recommend calling, leaving a message, texting them, sending them an email, doing this a couple times. We like to hit everybody at least 5 or 6 times before we chalk the lead off as dead. So we call them, leave a message, text them right after, send them an email, wait a little bit, and then we do the same thing. We have a CRM that we use that basically notifies us and kind of automatically, sends us notifications, so we stay up on that. We're building a software right now that it's going to be a bit before it comes out, but it's going to help all of our clients, where it's basically going to be a CRM kind of lead thing that's going to be an all-in-one thing that will kind of do this for you, and it'll send you a notification. It's not there yet, and I've been doing a lot of research. There's nothing out there right now that's exactly what what you're going to want. So for now, it's got to be somewhat, a little bit more manual, but just make sure that you have somebody that stays on top of this and does it, because if you're successful and you're doing this right, you're going to get leads that come through. And if you don't follow up with them properly, you're just going to be wasting your time, wasting your money, and you're going to have people that are going to be upset because you haven't followed up with them, right? And then the last thing is know your role, right? So what do you want to do in your business? Obviously, you're looking to grow your business. You wouldn't, be listening to this if you weren't, but make sure that you have the right people on your team. I can't emphasize that enough. If you're trying to wear all these different hats and be a social media expert and manage the books and do what you do as good as you can, it's very difficult. So if you really enjoy this stuff and this is what you love doing, by all means, jump in and learn all of this stuff. It's not, like I said, it's not rocket science to get in here and do it. There is a learning curve to get in and do it right. But if you don't have the time to do it, either have the right people on your team that you can delegate it to, or find other people that you can outsource some or all of this to. It's just going to make your life easier, and it's going to make everything work much better. So that pretty much concludes everything that I had. Who has any questions?
Bob, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can.
So we do have a couple of questions. April asked what you thought about Canva, which I know is a design software.
Yeah, so I've used Canva in the past. It's a great tool. We don't really use Spark at all either. We use the full Adobe suite, so we use Illustrator and Photoshop and all of those. But Canva is a good tool, right? If you're not familiar with, like I said, if you don't have a background in graphic design, Canva is a great tool. I personally like Adobe Spark better because, in my opinion, it has more. It's just easier to kind of plug and play. Canva, I haven't used it in a little bit, but the last time I used it, there wasn't as many templates and it wasn't as user-friendly as Adobe Spark is. I also have a minimal background in the Adobe suite, so it was a little bit more familiar to me. It's a lot different than than Illustrator or any of those. But that being said, Canva is a good tool. I would recommend personally Adobe Spark. You can even use both of them.
Great, thank you. So I know it's 1 o'clock. I know Janelle had another meeting at 1, had to jump off. So if you have to jump off, that's understandable. But Bob, if you're comfortable staying on for just maybe a couple minutes to answer a few questions, are you okay with that? Okay, thank you. So Cheryl asked, what CRM do you like now?
We use ActiveCampaign. And so there are thousands of CRMs. We like ActiveCampaign because we use it for more than just a CRM. So if you're looking for, how do I say this? ActiveCampaign is a very, very simple CRM to use. And it has there's a lot of different things. It's a multifaceted tool. It has a lot of functionality. We've tested countless CRMs in the past, and personally, ActiveCampaign to me is just the easiest to use anything that I've used in the past. I like it the best. However, there are a lot of different things that are just like ActiveCampaign that are free, or that are cheap. So typically free, you kind of get what you pay for. However, there are some that have free versions that can at least, let you get started, that work very well. And so, I would look in, I think ActiveCampaign also has a free version that you can kind of go and test the waters. I would recommend looking there first before you go anywhere else, because in my opinion, it's just the easiest to use, and it's a great tool. But there are other, it's definitely not the cheapest. It's not the most expensive, but it's not the cheapest tool out there. So if you're looking for, something that's kind of middle of the ground in terms of pricing, go with ActiveCampaign. If you're looking for something, cheap or free, then go into, just do a search and see what you can find. There are a lot out there. And then if you're looking for something extremely robust, I know there are a ton of them. But I probably wouldn't, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even go there. I would more focus on something middle of the road. It's probably going to be more than what you need to do what you're looking to do.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Bob. Does anyone else have any additional questions? You can either type it in chat or Q&A. It looks like both chat and Q&A are going really well. Any more questions? Oh, well, yeah, we'll get you. We're at Bob's contact info. Yes, we'll get that too. I'm going to send out a follow-up email with this presentation as well as Bob's contact information. I'd be happy to send that out to everyone that attended today. Any other questions? We're getting a couple thank yous, Bob. So thank you for saying
guys.
thank you. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions coming in. Thought I'd give it a second. Oh, we have one here. Do you know how to unlock a client's Facebook account? Someone used a code. Do you know how to unlock a client's Facebook account? Someone used a code. Used to code maybe, or?
Yes and no. So it depends on, if you want to reach out to me after this, it's very situational. So depending on who created the page and what personal account that it was created under, typically we can get access to it. We have some very good people within Facebook chat or within Facebook support rather, that we can talk to and figure out, you know, who owns the page, who manages it, and, you know, we can get a lot of that information. The simple answer is most likely, but you know, to be honest with you, it really depends. So if somebody outside of your organization created the page and for whatever reason they are unwilling to, you know, to grant us access or whatever it is, then we can't. There's no way to get into it. But, you know, I would say probably 75% of the time we can get into it. It's assuming that you don't have some, you know, some kind of hostility or a negative relationship with the person who created it. A lot of times what happens is a business owner or somebody within the organization created it a long time ago, and they just don't know who owns it, how to do anything with it, how to log into it. And so we can help you find all that information. Like I said, we have some very good people within Facebook support that we can talk to directly. We can pick up the phone and call them. It took us a while to get there. Facebook doesn't just, you know, they won't just talk to anybody. It did take us some time before we got the, I guess we got the green card to get in. But to answer your question simply, yes, we can look into it for you. We can tell you exactly, you know, what we can do, whether or not we can get you access to it, or whether or not we're going to have to look at a different route. And if you have multiple pages, it's a little bit different topic, but if you have multiple pages and you're trying to merge them together, we can show you how to do that as well, where you can get all of the reviews and you can get all of the different page likes for multiple pages if you have that issue all merged into one. Thanks,
Bob. Cheryl said that she's going to reach out to you. I noticed that you put your contact information right up on the screen, but we'll share this slide and has contact information in there. We have a lot of thank yous coming in. We have some folks that are leaving, so we'll kind of wrap up. We do have another question I actually think I can answer, but do you offer an initial consultation to determine if your services are a good fit for us? And I bet you Bob's going to say yes to that.
We do. Yep, and so everything's going to, you know, if you do want to talk to us, if you have questions about doing things yourself, I'm more than happy to, you know, to help you out. Obviously, you know, I can't talk to everybody for multiple hours and help them, but I love helping people. And so if you just have some simple questions, I'd love to help you with those. If you're looking to, you know, have a full consultation and you want to figure out, you know, more in depth of what we can do, absolutely. Those are all, of course, you know, free of charge, and I'd be more than happy. Obviously, right now it's a little bit different. We can't really. I like to meet in person if possible, but I'm more than happy to do something like this, a Skype, a Zoom meeting, or even just a phone conversation. Email me, call me, you know, whatever is best for you. And yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. All right, do we have any other last minute questions? We're still getting a lot of thank yous that come in, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap up, Bob. I think if anyone has questions, I can certainly reach out to you again. I will email this presentation out with Bob's contact information to everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in and spending the hour with us. I want to thank Bob Ventura with WebHorse Marketing for his time going into his office and doing this presentation for us. It was very informative and very helpful. And we're going to try to do this again in a few weeks. I know Bob has more that he'd like to share. So if you're interested, you know, send me a comment or send me an email if you're interested in getting that information, and I'll make sure I send it out. So Bob, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you everyone for joining in.
Yeah, it was a good joint venture with the Howell Chamber and the Hartland Chamber. And I hope everyone stays well and hangs in there. And with that, we'll just say goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you,
Katie.
Bob. Okay, bye-bye.